Welcome to the Divine Gossip Girls. I'm your host, Maggie, along with Carly and Sophie. And today we're going to be talking about friendship and sort of also like connections and how important it is the people that you have around you and how that changes your energy and stuff like that. I know that both Carly and I have been doing some like in-person events, and I just got back from doing this past weekend a like market where I was reading in person for people. And I just want to talk about how important this balance is with like friendships and connections of like online, but also in person as well. And how like that in person connection can really change your energy and should be like a really important intention for life and for your own well-being. So I know that Carly probably will have stuff to say with some in-person stuff she's been doing, and also because we just saw each other. And I know, Sophie, you've been sort of like feeling this as well, maybe in a different way, like you've been feeling this like want for it. So let's jump into today's episode. We'll talk about it, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it brings you a little bit of connection as well. Hey, Cosmic Witches! Divine Gossip Girls here, your one and only source into the spiritual happenings of the cosmos.
Ever wonder what this month's energy will have in store for you? What the planets and stars are even up to? Or if the universe can just help you catch a break already?
Well, lucky you, because we have all the spiritual secrets to tell. Get ready to sip on your weekly dose of divine tea.
All right, so I've been doing some more. I haven't been doing it a lot, but like I feel like the past year and a bit, I've been leaning into more in-person things. Like even when I was in Copenhagen, I was doing in-person past life regression, and I wanted to do more if it wasn't for some like visa issues. And that was like really fun and exciting and fulfilling on another level. Yeah, I was just at this market. It was really fun, and I loved connecting with people in person and doing those sorts of readings, like whether it was like a single card pull, which people could do for free, and it was like they'd be giggling with their friends, like, oh my gosh, that's so real. Or I did some readings with this mother bought one for her son and either like his cousin or his friend. And so she gave them like 5-minute readings. And I feel like I read for women a lot. So sometimes there's this, I don't know, thing where I'm like, oh, men aren't as into it, right? Like I'm sure you guys have felt the same way. Sometimes, I don't know, I feel like more self-conscious doing like readings and different things like this for men because a lot of the men that I've met in my life are like, they just sort of dismiss it. And so I was doing readings for them, and it was so cute. They kept like looking at each other with these wide eyes, and they were like, no way, how did you know that? And then they'd fill me in after, and then they left, and the mother came back, and she's like, they're telling me that I don't understand, and I have to get a reading for myself. And that was just, I don't know, like it was fun. And, I get that reaction online, and I'm not saying I don't appreciate you listening who has done stuff with, me online, because it's just as special. But I think it's like a different kind of special when you do it in person, and they're just different energies. And when we're talking about balance, like you do need both. And it's the same way, like, you guys are my heart, and like I love you guys so much, but it's hard because we're connecting online. And when Carly was here and we were doing all this fun stuff, like we did some like, spiritual and witchy stuff, but probably not as much as we like anticipated. We also just like got chased through a cornfield by my partner and like went to the casino with $5 in our pocket and turned it into $111, which we freaked out about.
I don't think we've told the podcast that story. We definitely
No, I
should.
thought like it can
was
also
so
be stuff
funny,
we
you
talk
guys.
about today, right? Like, and I said to Joel, my partner Joel, after Carly left, I was like, I think I really needed that. And it's felt the same, I went and visited Sophie during a really hard time, like for her, and she came and visited me like during the start of a really hard time for me. And it's like sometimes it's great having that online connection, but sometimes I prefer it. Like sometimes I get overwhelmed with in-person stuff, but sometimes like that there's a balance. Do you guys know what I mean?
No, I get you. I 100% get you. I'm just going back to the time where I feel like sometimes like with online, there's like this barrier, right? It's like we meet every single week and record a podcast and dive into work together. But then as soon as the laptop, like the Zoom shuts out, and then it's just like, okay, now what, right? You'll have those 2 hours. But I remember I did hold like in-person events last year. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. And LK, shout out LK, we love you. She has been inside of our elevation every single round, and she's a part of my membership, and she's just a loyal online fan of ours, right? But she just happened to be visiting or coming to my small city in the middle of Scotland for a holiday. Like she comes like frequently. Like she comes like often throughout her life. It's like a second home for her. And it just so happened the weekend that I was holding one of my circles, she was in my town. So she inevitably came to my event. And it was just so surreal meeting her in person, and that connection, that bond, that energy that is just like an instant like sensation that you get to feel like so much more stronger than you can feel over a screen, right? It's like you can feel their energies like through a laptop, but I think when you're actually in person, you're like, holy shit, this person's actually real, and I get to touch them and I get to really feel the depth of their energy and be there and like give her a hug and like squeeze her, and like even just seeing you like, and it's so funny as well because you meet these people and you're like, I feel like I've known you my entire life. Like I haven't even met Carly yet, and she knows like the depth of my soul, and I haven't even met her yet.
And you think it would be strange, like
I
when
know.
Carly came here, people, like I've heard people be like, oh, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of awkwardness, and then you guys will fall into it. And Carly literally like burst through my car door and was like, I spilled cinnamon all over my bag on these American roads that I'm not. I'm like, I don't know how much 55 miles an hour is. What's that in kilometers? I'm like making her Google it. I was like, I was just blindly driving on my way here. Like I didn't know the speed.
That was
And we were just so chaotic, but in a
But that
great
was
way.
like when you
It
came
was
here
so
as
awesome.
well. And I remember,
Yeah.
like, I'm sure it was like my cousin or someone was like, have you never met her before? Like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? Like, are you okay with her staying with you? And I
We
was like,
literally, you guys picked me up at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then it was like, all right, let's get
Becca
into bed
didn't,
together.
Becca didn't
Like,
even question it. Becca never even questioned the fact that Maggie was coming over and staying with us.
That's
For like,
so
this is my
funny.
flatmate, my roommate. She didn't even question. She didn't even worry. She was just like, oh yeah, Maggie. Like, Maggie's coming over.
yeah.
She's coming over.
And you
I
know
love
what I
that.
think it really is? And like, I'd love to hear, I feel like I'd love to hear both of your thoughts, but I'd really love to hear Carly's thoughts on this because I feel like you're such like a grounded, present girly. Like it's a big intention. It's a big intention of yours. Like when Carly was here, she would literally be like, let's go hug this tree. Okay, everyone, hug the tree and put your forehead on it. Let like Mother Willow heal you. Like we literally
Oh
hugged so many
wait, I
trees when she
can't
was here.
wait to meet you, Carly.
You
I
know,
actually do ground as much as I talk about it, everyone.
No,
I
yeah,
do.
that's what I mean. Like I feel like it's a really big intention and like pillar for Carly. So I'd love to hear like your thoughts about this. And it's like there's something about online connection that's really fun because you can, connect at any point. Like I can just call you
yeah,
and there is something special about it because oftentimes when you're connecting online, you're connecting from shared values, not shared experience or, convenience. Like it's not like, oh, I really vibe with you and you're really great, but we're connecting because we're like in the same school program.
yeah,
Like when you connect
yeah,
online, a lot of the time it's like we are in something together. Like we have the same values, we have the same passions or whatever it is. But when you connect in person, I think there's like a different sort of like presence there. Like when even when we're talking online, for some reason, there's like a different energy of like being present in the moment because you're not like physically there with that person. So that feeling of being like, this is real, I'm grounded in the present moment with you, just isn't the same as when you are, like sitting beside each other. And so I feel
Yeah.
like having that in-person connection, like having online connection can be really important for like passion and feeling seen and feeling understood. but in-person connection is also important for feeling like present and grounded in the connections that you have because they're like it's just this like this exists in this moment right in front of me. Like even with you, Carly, like I feel like it was a whirlwind when we were here and we did so much, but I also feel like a lot of the time we were very present, you know? Like we
That's
were
what I
having
kept
these
saying like to people. They were like, "Oh, how was it?" I was like, "I actually didn't like we didn't take that many pictures or anything," which sometimes I wish I did more just to have like, pictures to look back on, and we got some, so it's fine. Thankfully, we had Kevin, my boyfriend, who is our photographer. But I feel like I definitely also, sorry guys, I was trying to make coffee and then it exploded in the microwave. Like I don't know what happened there, but my microphone is
hence
like
not being present in the
present.
moment. We were talking and Carly's like, let me make my coffee in the
Well,
microwave.
I thought it was just going to be a quick put it in, heat it up, and then it literally proceeded to explode. And so I'm like connected to my laptop and my headphones, like trying to move around and like clean up this explosion. But anyways, I'm here. And something that I definitely noticed just like from meeting people that I first met online and then meeting them in person is it just feels way more like emotionally connected as well. Like you
Yeah.
can, I think, do so much online as well. And I've done retreats in person and I've done like workshops and programs online. And I feel like the level of healing that takes place when you're in the physical presence of someone cannot be matched to what happens online. And I will never not have online spaces because I want to connect with people all over the world. And I think that is so powerful. But I think when you have the opportunity to meet people or to do things in person, that level of like healing and impact of energy that you have on someone is just so much more, like it's so much more profound. And from like I've done Reiki online a lot and I think it's just incredibly powerful as well. But in person, when I'm running these circles or I'm like doing a session with someone, you feel so much more like held, and you feel so much more supported. And I think the group energy that comes of it is just that much more potent when you're in person. And so I feel like I've been called throughout this year to move things a little bit more off of social media. And I never want to not do that once again, because I think it's incredible to connect with people. And one day I know we all want to have retreats. So that's going to be our place for everyone to come together. But I just feel like there was this call this year to almost like hermit for a little bit, to listen to the calling of it's time for me to tap more into in-person connections. And this year as well, I noticed just how much my friends mean to me, because I kind of went through a period of depression, really struggling with my health. And I now live back with my parents since I've, traveled, backpack and left from college, and all of my friends still live like 5 hours away from me. But I was like really moving through things and I didn't have my friends near me. And it just made me realize, like, I remembered when I was in like the depths of my depression, like it doesn't matter. Like I know I can talk to my friends on the phone, but when I was in college, I was also moving through things like eating disorder treatment. And I remember one day, I always lived with a lot of girls, you guys. It was kind of crazy. Not a sorority. I was not in a sorority, but it was like, I always lived with a lot of strong female friendships. And I was crying one day, like just having a breakdown. And I just remember this moment. I'm even like tearing up thinking about it because it was such a heartwarming moment. But I was like having such a breakdown. And all of a sudden there's like 5 of my friends just surrounding me and hugging me. And they're like, "You're going to be okay. We're going to get through it. Like, we don't have to go out tonight. Like, let's just stay home and have a movie night." And then we all had a movie night. And that was so healing to me. And this year when I was I'm literally going to cry, you guys. I'm going to cry at the podcast. It wouldn't be the first time someone's cried on here.
Nope.
But this year when I was really moving through it, like I felt so lonely. And it just made me realize, like, holy shit, I need to connect with people. And I think we all realize that, especially during COVID, or like if you've ever like recently moved, or Sophie, like I know you've been really feeling that kind of like sense of loneliness as you're moving through a big transition and just feeling like yes, it's great to have people online that I can call with, but that level of like, I just need a hug from a bestie, and like female friendships are unmatched. Like they just do something different to you. I feel like healing and like sisterhood is just so powerful. So this is all to say we probably all moved through a time where we felt alone and haven't had that person or that support. And I love my boyfriend, but I tell him, and he knows this too. He's like, no, I know it. Like, your girlies do something different to you. You need your
It's
girlfriends.
true. It's like you need to, I think so many people like think that falling in love and this romantic relationship is what's going to like make them feel fulfilled. And I think it's like a great cherry on top. But I think if you like, sorry, Joel, but if you made me choose, like you can either like be in a romantic relationship for the rest of your life and have no friends, or you can be like surrounded by friends but never find like romantic love. I think I'd be like, give me my friends. Because I realized how important that was. Like
100%.
even being away, like I love and I still I miss it. Like I loved living in Copenhagen. But I remember like after that first year, and that first year was really amazing. And I got along really well with the people we lived with, and like they felt like friends, but sometimes people would feel like condolence prize friend because they'd be like on the team with Joel. Like I had a lot of guy friends when I was over there because we lived with a lot of guys who were like on the team. And so the first year, like we were really close, especially with the one guy in the team. And I was like, yeah, I feel like we're really close. I feel like we're friends. You know, Joel was away for one week and I got super sick and I had like these three boys knocking on my door, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, bringing me food and like taking care of me and making sure I was okay. And like, there was so much love there, but sometimes it was like, yeah, but you're Joel's friend first. Like, you guys are on the team and then I'm like a friend with you because he's a friend of yours. And like that doesn't mean we're not true friends, but it was different than someone being like my friend first, if that makes sense, right? And I remember my one of my best friends, like she was my roommate for a few years in university and stuff. And she was like, yeah, we're gonna come and see you. And they were the first visitors I had. And I remember like getting the text and like right before I was about to step in the shower and like crying in the shower. But there were like tears of gratitude because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have someone here and I get to share my experiences with like someone that I love. And it's like, yeah, I had Joel, but those like friendship connections were so important. And I remember like my sister and like one of my best friends who's like a sister coming and visiting at the same time and like sitting on the couch with them, and another friend coming to visit, and me being like, it's so special to me that they are like physically here and like I miss this. And then I had a really close friend my second year there who I lived with, and he's going to be like a friend of mine and a part of my life forever. I just know it. And going into such a hostile living environment after living with someone who like gave you so much love and like who you loved so much as like a friend was really a weird situation to flip to. And I think
Yeah.
that was something that I've realized this year. Now I'm back and I have lots of friends here, and sometimes it's a bit overwhelming because I'm not used to so much in-person connection, but
Yeah.
I think it's important. I don't know.
I mean, they say that your friends are your first love as well.
Mhm.
And I always remember, like, I feel like I'm in a very different space when it comes to friendships and connections than I guess I ever have before, because I remember I've never been in a committed long-term relationship. And I remember one of my old friends saying to me, you always have friends though, Sophie. You're always surrounded by friends. Like I always am someone that has loads of friends. However, obviously being on my healing journey and coming into myself, really learning like what I value and what I value and like what path I want to take. Like, and just growing up as well and maturing and going different ways and going different paths. Like you start to drift from people. And I feel like I'm now in a place where, like Carly said, where I am experiencing loneliness. I am experiencing kind of like a lot of my friends being around the world and I'm not able to see them because I've created new friendships, whether they be in university or whether they be through business, and none of them live where I am now. And it's hard because I really only have one best friend from my hometown now. And obviously she has other friends outside of our friendship, and she has our partner and she has our family. So it's like it's hard to like also not be like this kind of burden to her, but also like be open to allowing friends to like find me. But I think just being in this space has been really hard because at first I really needed it, and I knew I needed to just like connect with my own relationship with myself and to come into myself. And because I used to be someone who had to be with friends. I didn't like being alone, and I was the one out every single Saturday. I was the one that people would like be like, Sophie, let's go out, and I'd be out because I just didn't like to be by myself. And obviously these past few years is about really coming into myself and learning to be with myself and learning to have actual friendship with myself. But I'm now at a place where I'm like, okay, like I've attracted these connections, but they're all over the world. And I'm feeling this like want and this desire to like connect on a deeper level somewhere new with people that are on this same path as me. Because even, for instance, this morning, I woke up feeling really anxious and I just didn't have many people to like to speak to. That I think the universe knew I needed to speak to someone because I went out for a walk and I just so happened to bump into my mum's cousin, and she came a walk with me. She came like partial walk with me, and I left her and I was like, oh, I feel so much better just like connecting with someone and talking to someone, you know?
Well, and I think that's like another thing too. It's like once again, that journey within is so necessary. And I feel like that's what I've really learned over the past couple of years of like moving out of living with so many roommates and like moving out of college and doing like travel and stuff. I've really moved from always being around people to like almost always being alone, unless it's like my boyfriend. But once again, it's a different connection, right? And so I feel like a lot of what I've realized, similar to you, Sophie, is like I need to find more of that balance because I also have a tendency to really pour myself into my personal life, like, you know, the things that I'm doing in my business and in the ways that I'm growing. And I love that side of things, but I also want to bring in like prioritizing relationships and friendships again, because
100%.
that's how we honestly like, I feel like friendship outlets, like, they truly are a way for you to like just live and be and enjoy life. Like so much of, I feel like when you're on a spiritual path is like being in the depths of like healing or being the depths of figuring out, you know, manifestations or your job or your purpose. I feel like when you're with your girlies, when you're with your community, it's like finally this breath of like fresh air where you just get to like decompress and release. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's like with one person or it's like in a group of people, like we all need that.
I personally
I
also just love connecting with people. Like
Yeah.
obviously I've needed this time to come into myself to like heal my relationship with myself, but I'm now in this place where I'm like, okay, like it's time to reconnect with friendships and connections in this like new version of myself as well.
I
And
think we're all extroverts on some level, and
oh
like
yeah,
some people listening to this who are like very introverted will be like, "What do you mean?" But like, I have friends who are very, very introverted, and it's like, even if it's just one or two people, like, I think it's important to have
yeah,
people like that you can connect with in person that like make you feel seen at least in some way. But I think it's also important to realize, like, I'm sure you guys feel the same, that like different relationships and different friendships will serve different purposes, and like
100%.
not
Yeah,
every friendship has to be this like soulmate,
yeah,
like you get me completely and I get you completely thing. Like some, it's okay to have some friendships that are like there for a season, or it's okay to have friendships that are like, you know, we just do dumb, stupid stuff together
well,
that's
for
like not that
example,
deep, and we just have a good time. Like we both
yeah.
So
love
true.
pottery and we just like connect through that, and like that's all we really do. And you know, when we show up at this class together, like I always sit next to you, and like maybe if once I stop taking this class, we're not talking anymore, that doesn't mean that something went wrong or that I'm not enough. It just means that it was like that was a friendship and a connection I was meant to have during that time, and
Yeah.
it's like not that deep.
I think that's a big, no, but I think that's a big lesson that so many of us, well, me in particular as well, but so many of us, I don't want to say need to learn, but like, yeah, need to learn because I think we either
Yeah.
like hold on to relationships or we feel the guilt of letting relationships go. And it's like, okay, sometimes relationships are just meant to come into you for a season and to help you or learn something or whatever it is. And like, can we be okay with that? And even on the other side of like, for instance, my flatmate, like, love her, but we're both very different people. And she's unconditionally supported me throughout my entire journey. And I don't believe like I would have been able to do it without her, even though like we have different passions, we have different values, we have different like we're on different paths, but we support each other like regardless of that. And we're still friends regardless, but just on different, yeah, like different capacities and different ways.
And I think that's actually so beautiful to have unique differences like we
Yeah.
all do, but like especially with like I'm thinking of my best friend. She's not really spiritual, but she's like super open-minded and but the way that we connect is like for a sense of adventure and like she's a Sag rising and I'm she connects to my little Gemini energy of like wanting to adventure, wanting to frolic, like wanting to try new things and like her and
I
I
always say my Sag friends like push me to do the like impulsive fun things that like I think
yes.
about. Like I feel like Geminis are like, I want to do this, I want to do this, and then we don't do them, and then our Sag friends are like, what if we just did it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so her
I
too
remember
because
being
she's
with one of my Sag friends, and she's like, what if we just like go and pierce our ears? And we were just like at the mall, and I was like, okay.
sure.
Like
I love that. And I think that's, yeah, like we need that. You need the yin yang energy. You need like opposites attract. And I think just on the conversation of relationships, just also bringing into your awareness that like Maggie's kind of experience last year, people that are in your surroundings impact your energy. So like there are, I feel like from that like sense, you also start to realize like, holy shit, like relationships actually bring like they have the potential to like bring so much light into your life and also like bring you to the depths of despair because it's just like when you're in the presence of someone that is not so great very like on the regular that also impacts your energy. So like relationships just in general really do impact your life. And I feel like bringing an awareness that they're necessary in so many ways in this human experience and connecting to more people in person or even creating boundaries with certain people is like what we have to do. Because what do they say? You are a reflection of the
Yeah.
top
You're the sum
five
of
five
people, the five
people.
people you spend the most time with, right?
Yeah.
That's going to become even more and more prevalent. Like that's so true even like now. But if you haven't listened to the forecast already, go listen to the forecast because Pluto is moving into Aquarius and it's all about your individuality, but also how you fit into your community. And so I really think like we have this rule, this idea, this like concept that like which is very accurate that you are a product of the five people you spend the most time with. And I think like as we step into this energy of being like change and transformation through community and your place in it, that's only going to become more and more prevalent. So if you haven't already, go watch that episode. I feel like we have so much more to say, but I feel like maybe we should cut it off here so that's not too long. But I really enjoyed chatting with you guys about friendships. You guys mean so much to me. And each time I get to meet you, and I mean, every week when I talk to you online, but also each time I get to meet you both in person,
I cannot
it's
wait for the day
magical.
we're all together, the three of us, we can squeeze each other and record
I
episodes
I
in
think we're going to
person.
see each other soon. In fact, I
Yeah.
believe that we're all going to go on a retreat together. I really feel it. I feel like we need to all go on a retreat, like us three, before we run our retreat. Everyone in the audience, Sophie, Maggie, and I will be on a retreat together in the next year. Speaking
I
that
think
into
it's going to be so
existence.
magical. When I'm with either of you, I see more angel numbers than like ever before.
We
And
I
like
see
swear.
many
when
rainbows.
Carly and I turned $5 into it literally on the machine went up to
Mad.
$111 and we were freaking out. This is so funny. We were freaking out. We were like we were screaming and like and laughing maniacally and like clapping and like moving around on our chairs, and this woman started to like take a video of us because she thought we won the jackpot, and then she realized we just won like $80 or whatever because we'd already won like 30, and then she just like stopped videotaping us and like walked away because we were acting,
It was
first of all
so
we were
much
acting
fun,
like that
though.
just because it was like so much fun for us, being like, look at, we started with $5 and like we're so magnetic, like we went to the machines that we intuitively felt like not condoning gambling because it can like be really harmful, but we were like, let's use this $5. And we just had so much fun. And then it hit 111 and we were like laughing already because it was just like going up. And then it hit 111 and we were both like, angel number. And we were like freaking out. And we're so funny. We're like walking around the casino and we're like, we need to find machines that have angel numbers on them. And like, we just had so much fun. But like, that was so special. And like, when I went to Edinburgh and when Sophie came to me, like, those moments were so special. And anytime I've met like one of you guys listening, even in person, it's been so beautiful.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Conversations are so real.
I met a listener not too long ago. I did a tarot reading. Sarah, if you're listening, I love you.
Sarah, we love you.
Sarah, we love you. I was so sad I didn't get a picture, but it was the first time I met a listener in person that I like had never met before. And I was like fangirling over this like listener. I was
you
like,
you sent us the best voice note ever. But that's the thing, that's why I want to talk about this today, because I've been connecting more in person with you, Carly, with like, in-person events, and in-person events are great. But I think it's like, I realized that the magical feeling isn't necessarily the card reading or isn't necessarily the meditation or the Reiki or whatever it is we're all doing together. Like, it really is the connection. Because like I said, when Carly and I were together, like one of, I think the moments I will remember forever is us doing a corn maze in the dark and like running through, literally afraid for our lives that someone was chasing us.
I've never been that scared in my life. I swear to God. You guys, there was this random man who we didn't know. Like, I didn't know he was out there. And he was just, it was like pitch black outside. This man just is hiding in the corn maze behind these corn stalks and would randomly jump out saying like, I'm the milkman. I have the best milk. Or what the fuck was he saying?
And he was like,
I don't know,
holding like a carton of chocolate milk. And we were like terrified. We were running and we were so certain this milkman was chasing us. And we knew that my partner Joel was chasing us.
But I knew it wasn't him. I was like, that ain't Joel. That's someone else.
And we were terrified. But like, there was like magic in that moment because it was like so thrilling and so fun. And I realized then that it's like, yeah, it can be about like the spiritual and the energy, but it also is just about like being present and making a memory and like having fun. So
fun, yeah.
We can't wait to make memories with you guys and do retreats and do more and more in-person things. We'll talk to you next week, and we love you and I love you guys so much.
We love you.
And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.